Hello, welcome back to First Thoughts. I'm Simon, this is Justin, and today we're giving our first thoughts on Final Destination Bloodlines.
Yeah.
Bloodlines. I want to call it Generations. That's just my Star Trek, my Trekkie side coming out, but every time I want to just call it Generations.
Well, that was a movie.
As the title suggests, this takes place over generations as opposed to the typical Final Destination. If you don't know the plot of those, everyone is the same. Somebody has a premonition that stops them and a group of other people from dying in a horrible accident, and then death chases them down and kills them one by one to get back at them. This one's slightly different. If you haven't seen the trailer, the main character girl isn't having a premonition, she's having a recurring nightmare about her grandmother's premonition that happened 50 years ago, and now their whole family is in danger. It's actually my first time seeing a Final Destination movie. I was gonna watch the first one last night, and I forgot. But I've seen several clips before, and I got the basic vibe, and it's always been a story that's intrigued me, but never got around to it. You've seen just the first one, right?
Yeah, somebody showed it to me at some point in the past. I've seen pretty much every single major viral death from the franchise, like all of them.
Yeah, that's what the franchise is known for, kind of similar to Saw, is not so much about the plot necessarily, because the plot's the same basic idea every time. It's just about how can we come up with new creative and surprising deaths even though we know they're coming. And so there's a lot of misdirection, there's a lot of, hey look at these jingling keys, and then something over here happens. And for this one, I thought it worked fairly well. There's a couple ones that were predictable, but overall, I had a lot of fun trying to guess where the death was coming from. Even when you could see the pieces, they even call it like it's like a puzzle piece, and you have to try to figure out how to put it together. But it's like, okay, we know, you see in the trailer, there's a piece of glass in the cup. Okay, how's that going to come into play? Oh, we saw this lawnmower over here. How's that? And you just have to try to figure out how all of these pieces are going to come together for one death, because sometimes you may look at a scene going, there could be a million ways to die right now. How's it going to come together and just kill this one person or whatever? So yeah, I think this did a decent job at that. Decently creative. Like I said, I haven't seen the other one, so I can't really compare a whole lot with, like, maybe it was even better before, I don't know, or tonally it was different, but for a standalone viewing experience, and comparing it to the deaths, I guess, just, one-offs, like how we mentioned, seeing clips on YouTube and stuff. I've never watched a whole movie through, but I've seen a lot of the deaths, the most famous ones being like the logs that's traumatized every millennial ever, plane of glass falling on somebody, stuff like that. I've seen those, and they range from fun to absolutely ridiculous, and there's no way that could ever happen. And this runs that gambit as well. And yeah, I think it was fun. I think it did that well.
My God, were they enjoying faking us out left and right. Every little jingle, every little rustle.
That was the best part of it to me.
I was just like, oh my gosh, which one of these 67 different things you're setting up? And then it'd be a combination of like 12 of them.
Yeah. I will say, okay, so best thing to me actually was the one guy, Eric, who was played by Richard Harmon. He was my favorite thing actually in the
Tattoo
movie.
Brother?
Yeah, he was a lot of fun. I enjoyed his character a lot. Wish he could have done more than he did, but he was very enjoyable. For the most part, it's like the characters aren't great. He's an exception, but like the characters aren't great. The acting is fine, but not exciting. The directing is pretty run-of-the-mill. It's like these movies aren't for great storytelling, and by the time the movie was over, I was done with it. Like I wasn't like, ooh, I could have kept going. Like I was done with it because it's run its thing. It's run the course. It's just trying to amuse you by, like I said, the jingling keys, and gross you out with the deaths. And the deaths, some of them are gross. Some of them, the effects are so silly you can't get invested. I think it was serviceable. I doubt it's the worst in the franchise, and I doubt it's the best. I don't have a strong grasp on that, but that would be my guess, is that this was a middle-of-the-road Final Destination movie.
I am a little curious about the other ones, because I feel like the world is slightly more connected.
Yeah.
And just random groups of people have very similar. Because, like, in the synopsis I was reading, everybody seems to always find out about everybody else, and they're always connected in a little bit of way, whether it's just similar events or finding one survivor from the past. I'm wondering, without giving anything away from this one, if this was supposed to be the overarching story for Final Destination. I forget if this is supposed to be the last one or not.
I mean, they probably always are. But, like, you know, for example, so, like, the Bloodworth character is in this. He's in almost all of them. And also, by the way, rest in peace to that guy. This is, I think, the last... No, I guess it's not his last movie. He's got a bunch of credits on IMDb coming up. But Tony Todd, kind of a... he's kind of like a B-list icon, if you will. B-horror icon. He's been in a bunch of stuff, and he was in most of these I saw. Not in all of them, but so he got to have a nice little farewell to the franchise. But, yeah, like you were kind of alluding to, they say some stuff about his character, not to get into spoilers, but... It's like, I wonder, having not seen the other ones, I wonder if this is, was this already canon? Are they creating new canon here, new lore? I'm curious, because it did make me want to go see the rest of them and kind of piece it together. I don't know how deep it really is. It's probably similar to, like, the Saw franchise, where, you know, Jigsaw in the first movie is just a dude, and then they start developing the backstory as they go. So I wonder if it's something like that.
It sort of seemed like it, whether they had it planned from the beginning or not.
Yeah,
it's hard to tell with movies because it's not like a comic book
series
where you can believe, hey, let me just get to this point. You know, you gotta trust them to let you put out 6 movies over the course of well over a decade.
Frankly, I'm going in pretty dumb here, so sorry, guys. I'm just going to review this movie mainly for this movie alone, not related to the rest of the franchise. But yeah, so I think it's going to be something that people that are fans of the franchise already will totally be on board with. Sure. I think people will love it. I think, like I said, probably not the best in the franchise. You know, I don't know how these kills stack up. To me, when you talk about the deaths in, like, the early ones with, like, I know I mentioned it already, but, like, the logs on the back of the truck. That's something that traumatized a generation of people where they're never going to look at those kind of trucks again. I don't know that there's any deaths in this movie that will have any kind of impact like that. Like, I don't think that this movie has the capability to do that.
Not like that. I mean... You know, I could see the opening scaring some people with fears of heights. Like,
but that's something that's always like the glass floors.
Yeah, it didn't add anything.
Yeah,
no. Everyone's thought that, and they've got. I'm pretty sure it's not fake, but they got. I think there's that one in China. That purposely has the breaking effect. Yeah, it's not actually breaking at all, but it just purposely tries to freak you out.
Yeah, I don't think though that like any of these like it's all fun. But I wouldn't say that this, to me, has the capability of becoming, like, iconic or classic, like some of the other moments were.
Yeah, I don't know about iconic or classic. It had some okay callbacks.
Yeah.
I would say the closest to traumatizing this movie gets is the hospital one. It's
Even
not.
That, yeah, it's not.
That effect seems exaggerated.
Yeah, I just don't.
People have already had that. Like that's we've had stories like that.
That's my whole point. Is like because with not only it being 20 years later in this franchise, but also this many movies later, is like subtlety be damned at this point, and so it has to be big and over the top, so it can't be believable, and you can't. And that's the thing that made these other kind of deaths scary, is that you could believe it would happen to you. I'm not worried about anything in this movie happening to me at any point, you know? In horror these days, you have to do it big and over the top or it's boring. Well, and therefore, to me, it's actually less exciting because it's like, well, it couldn't happen to me like that.
I mean,
so now I'm not scared.
I don't completely agree that all horror has to do that, but this is
this type of horror.
This is the 6th one in this series. Looking back at some of the deaths, they're a little more realistic at times, but they've gone so over the top.
Oh, they jumped the shark a long time ago.
They have to continue that. They're running out of ideas. Now, they've got some still good ones. There's still a bunch of fears you can hit with people. There's still a bunch of semi-real world situations you can try to screw with, but they've probably done their best ideas already.
Yeah.
For being real.
But like I said, this is still fun. I still enjoyed it.
That's the other thing I'm most curious about with outside of the first movie. Not just because I've seen it, but because I figured the first movie would probably have the least amount of this, being the first in the franchise.
Yeah.
But just how much fake out and set up to these deaths. Outside of, the initial premonition that somebody has and they save people. But the rest of them, how much fake out are in, like, movies 2 through 5?
Yeah. I'm curious, too. I'm also curious how much they rely on repeating gross out effects. Like, there's a point in this movie where somebody dies in a horrific way, and then we have multiple flashbacks to that death, and it's like, that's not doing anything for me. It's just, it's gross, sure, but it didn't, like, what's the point of keep showing that one scene over and over again? I don't get it. Like, is that scaring anybody, or like it's just like, yep, and saw that again.
Reinforcing the trauma.
I don't know. So yeah, I know we kind of started strong and petered out here, but I do want to say it's an enjoyable movie, just nothing to write home about. So I would give it like a 6, maybe a 6.5. It was fine. It was fun.
I'm fine with the 6. I don't think I go 6.5. But like, yeah, if you're
depends on your mood, I think. For me, at least, it would.
I don't know if I'd ever do it. It's just not my kind of thing. Like, it's fine. The deaths were interesting, and trying to figure out what convoluted way it was going to do it.
That's the
But like, I never really cared about the story.
You're not supposed to.
I'm more curious about the connection to the other movies than I am about the actual franchise, as weirdly as that sounds.
Sure. Yeah, no, I did have fun with it, but like I said, by the end, I was like, okay, that's enough. Like, if I was watching this at home, maybe I would have, if not for morbid curiosity, turned it off with 15 minutes left, because I'm like, all right, I got the idea,
See, that's the thing with these kind of movies. This would be movies I would never see by myself, except USA used to show movies all day on Thursdays, and this would be a kind of movie that might pop up there one time.
Yeah,
I'd watch it, but other than that, I mean, if you're into gore horror, or you're into the Final Destination franchise at all, like, this is probably a good visit.
It's also the campiness of it, too. Like, that's what makes it fun, is, like, how ridiculous it is. Like, they know that what they are now. They're not trying to be super serious. And that's part of why I'm saying that the older ones are probably better in some ways, but it's also the fun way that the franchise does maintain some sort of entertainment value, is that it's camp, and then you've got characters, like I said, Eric, who is hilarious, and I just, you enjoy watching him. I wish more of the characters were interesting, because he was the only character I cared about at all. But yeah, there's some one-liners in there too, and that all helps too. But yeah, I guess we'll get into spoilers. I don't think for very long, frankly. I don't know that we have a whole lot to talk about, but we are going to get into spoilers now. So if you don't want anything spoiled, you should click away, go watch it, come back, and we'll talk about it then. But also, don't forget to like, share, follow, review, subscribe, all that. It does help. Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye.
So, yeah. When Eric didn't die, I was so happy. And then he died later, and I was like, damn it. I was really enjoying his character. So I'm glad we got like another half hour of him, because that helped a lot. I could have sworn I'd seen him somewhere, but I checked on IMDb, and the only thing that I had rated that he was in was the Percy Jackson movie, and he played like Asshole Kid. So, no, well, probably not Asshole Kid, because it's a kid's movie, but it was like Jerk, Annoying Kid or something.
Yeah.
So I don't think I've seen anything before, but he was kind of like, he reminded me a lot of like Kieran Culkin, and I love that. So
yeah, I did forget to. Well, I didn't get a chance. I had to look up him and the main girl. I
don't believe I recognized her from anything.
I thought I recognized them a little bit.
Stephanie was played by Caitlin Santajuana. I haven't seen her in anything, but she was in the Flash TV show. Oh, Tony Todd was in that too. She is 100% Latina. Well, maybe she's mixed. I don't know. But she looked very Latina. And so I was like, man, one generation got Latina real quick. And then they see her dad, and he's Asian. I'm like, well, how the fuck did this happen?
The melanin is strong.
I do think her brother was Asian, though.
Yeah, he looked Asian.
He looked Asian.
She didn't. Very much.
He was played by Teo Briones. That sounds Latino.
Yeah, it probably is, but he looked more Asian.
So was their dad not Asian? Now I'm confused. Hold on. Who was their dad?
I mean, we're just stereotyping here.
It's not stereotyping. I'm looking at their face.
I mean, he looked Asian. And the kid looked Asian.
Yeah, Tinpo Lee.
Yeah.
Not Latino. Not a Latino name. Anything to say about this movie? I don't know. Like, it's just like...
So
Eric was cool.
So I guess the gist of this movie and why we think it might be connected to maybe the other ones is back in the 50s or whatever.
50 years ago.
50 years ago.
They say 50 years ago, but it's not the 70s. It looks like the 50s.
Whenever the hell it was. The main girl's grandmother had a premonition on this big sky tower that everybody in it was going to die, including her. And she stopped people. She stopped the party that I was having and stopped people from crashing down through the glass floor and the little evil kid from throwing the penny off. That's the only sad thing, that he didn't die in the end.
They all had to die.
Well, I mean, no. She said, oh yeah, true.
They all died at some point.
We didn't get to see it.
Yeah.
That's
that is the one flaw in this movie, is we didn't get to see that kid die.
But essentially, Death has to kill all of them. Now, there's like a couple hundred people in there, so Death has to try to kill all of them throughout time, and he eventually gets to pretty much all of them in 50 years. But it takes him so long that now these people have had kids. They've had bloodlines, and now, since they shouldn't have had kids, since they should have died back then, Death now has to kill their entire families, which leads us to the girl who had the premonition long ago, Iris, and now her granddaughter's the main character. And so,
Except
like, is this the explanation for the kickoff of it, or is this just the oldest event in the series of Final Destinations, people fucking with Death? Like, I don't really know.
That we know of so far. I mean, this... It's Death. Death has been around forever, so this could be. They could do, like, you know, what they did with the Predator franchise, is put one back in like the time of Native Americans and shit, or we could even go like the Dark Ages. That would be fun.
Yeah.
Or cavemen, ooga booga, and all the cavemen stay out of the cave that's got a T-Rex in it, and then now they all have to die because they keep dropping sticks on each other's heads or something. I don't know. It could be fun.
It'll work out.
So yeah, I don't know that they're all exactly connected, but it's like...
It makes you wonder.
Yeah.
Because we haven't seen them, so...
And the fact that, like, certain people realize...
Yeah, because one person lives from the first movie, and then she's a character in the second movie, and I'm pretty sure she dies in the second movie. I think she locks herself in an asylum because she becomes the final survivor of the people that were on that plane. Right. She wants to live, but then they come find her experiencing the same issues, and then she kind of joins them for a little bit, I think, but then she gets killed or something.
Having a spiked fortress with a ton of booby traps is the dumbest way to try to survive.
Listen, we have to talk about that. That was an interesting thing. So Iris...
Interesting or stupid?
Both. But Iris is alive, right? She had the premonition, saved everybody. And as Death has killed everybody off, she's the last person that Death is going to come for. But in addition to that, she has also, the entire time, been studying Death, and seemingly she at least knows all of the rest of the Final Destination incidents, even if they're not directly connected. She has been studying all of this for 50 years, so she is just the most knowledgeable. She can literally just look around a room and sense the exact way Death is coming at her and just react to it too. Just toss something across the room and stop the little butterfly effect from happening. But she's like in this cabin in the woods where they've taken down like a lot of the woods.
She's trying to fight away zombies.
Yeah, and
like, none of these giant metal spikes are gonna help you. They're dangerous to you.
She's got like the ex-beach fortifications that they had in like D-Day and shit. It's like that's gonna keep Death away.
Sure. Stupid.
And like and none of that seems to matter because, as she puts it, she rarely leaves the house.
She never leaves the house. I don't know how she eats. Like, I was thinking, like, she could get, like, DoorDash. But even with DoorDash, they'd leave it at the gate. She'd have to go out there and get it. And even then, I guess what? You get boneless wings? Because otherwise you might choke? Like,
But, like, she seems to live a regular life in the house enough. I mean, she's crazy and stuff, but, like, the things you can do in a cabin in the woods, she seems to be able to mostly do. She's got to have heat sources. She's got to eat something. I mean, we saw
She has
plants.
to pay
But
for all of her electricity and shit. So she needs a job.
she's got a generator down there somewhere.
I guess she looks like she comes from generational wealth.
No, yeah, that too. But yeah, it didn't quite work out.
It's dumb. The whole movie is dumb.
Especially
that's the point, though.
But not just. I mean, the movie's dumb, and it's Final Destination. I'm not expecting reality or anything. I'm not mad at all this, but it is funny to see. It is just interesting to see. Like they're saying, she lived there for 20 years without being touched, and just how quickly death fucked that place up in the end.
Right.
Just burned it down immediately.
Which could have happened at any moment. And I know, the ember got inside. Yeah, the outside isn't fireproof. I will say I was happy to see a lot of people complained in the trailer for this movie because the glass fell into the ice, and they didn't just burn all the ice, which is what you're supposed to do. Anybody who's ever worked at a restaurant or a bar knows if the ice breaks anywhere near the ice, you burn it, which doesn't mean literally you melt it, you weirdos. And
I was picturing fire.
like, that's a weird ritual you guys have.
I like it. I was like, we get the blowtorch out?
But this isn't a restaurant or a bar or anything like the trailer kind of makes it look like. It is a home bar. Yeah. And so it makes it much more plausible. And so I was happy to see that.
No, it makes total sense.
And then the ice, or the glass being in the ice becomes totally irrelevant, but hey, it was there.
Hey, it got transported to where it needed to go.
It could have happened any other way.
But it happened through the ice. But I probably would have made that sort of mistake. Now, I like to think I'd notice a little glass that jumped in there, but I never worked in a restaurant, so the whole burn the ice thing it's never been told to me before.
Yeah. It's also, I was glad that it happened that way, because, so obviously it's a misdirect, they're trying to make you believe somebody's going to drink, and I'm like, but how would you swallow the glass and cut your throat open? Because, imagine it's ice, you're not just swallowing ice.
Yeah,
you're chewing it and then swallowing it. So it's like if you're drinking water and then you feel something, when you know the glass has ice in it, you feel something coming in your mouth, you're not letting it go down your throat. So I'm glad also that was a misdirect, because the whole time I'm going, this doesn't make any sense.
Oh my gosh, there were so many misdirects. There was the
whole scene of misdirects walking down the sidewalk was great.
Oh no, that was great too, but the backyard scene was insane. They had the grill backfiring as a fake out. They had the rake under the trampoline. They had just the trampoline in general, because he broke through later. Yeah. They had the glass in the cup. And then
had the beer bottle.
Yeah. Then they had
they had the blocks giving him splinters.
Yeah. Then they had the uncle. He had the glass in his cup the whole time. At one point, they have him chew a piece. Mm-hmm. That turns out to just be ice.
And also, she swallows a bug that was in her drink.
Yeah, because at that point, you don't know whose drink it's in.
Yeah. It's funny that they always show something that's going to be important later. Like, they show the spring in the snack machine, or they show the button on the lawnmower, or they show the beer bottle, or they show the seatbelt as she seatbelts in. And I'm like, so that's going to be important later. It's so goofy, but you don't know how it's going to be important, so it keeps it exciting. Because I'm like, how is a seatbelt going to be important? I assume, and then it zooms out and they're parked next to water, so they're going to fall in, and she's going to be in this. Okay, I get it.
As soon as it locked, I was like, oh, she's going to be trapped. But I didn't realize there was water nearby. I thought it'd just be fire or something.
Who the fuck is this?
Huh?
Long ass fucking hair. But it's not yours.
Is it blonde? Was it blonde?
Maybe. Could have been brown. Could have been blonde. I don't know. It was on me, not your car.
Oh.
It was in my sleeve. Also, I do have a complaint that I want to throw out there. So they say that there's only two ways to get away from death. Right. That's either to die in such a way that you can be brought back, and then you've cheated death, or to kill somebody else and it transfers whatever life that person has left you now get.
Yep.
And that just remind me, they should have gone to an abortion clinic and volunteered.
As I was saying,
because they think about killing babies. I'm like, that's illegal. Now, abortions are legal in most states now, so go volunteer.
See, what you don't understand is death is actually pro-choice and doesn't believe life into conception. No, yeah, so that wouldn't have counted.
Anyway.
He gets real hardcore with it.
But I was also thinking about this whole thing. They trick you into thinking that she drowned in the water and then got brought back to life. They say it like 3 times.
Oh, the ways they can...
And then the one guy goes, well, not literally. If she stopped breathing and you gave her CPR to bring her back, she wasn't dead. Her heart was still beating. That's not 100% true all the time. You can bring somebody back to life whose heart has stopped with CPR. That's like half the point of CPR. So it could have been. So him going like, actually not. Like, you don't know. You weren't there. Now, he ended up being right, but it was a lucky guess.
Yeah. The whole process of did you die? Did you not? It's like, does your heart have to stop? I would assume so. All right. How long does it have to stop?
Hey.
You have to be... Is it just stopping and then immediately resuscitation, or do you need to be dead for 10 seconds and come back? What are these guys?
Well, Justin, if the heart has to stop to signify death, that would mean that the heart beating is life, right?
All right.
So therefore, those babies in the womb are alive after like 6 weeks. So it's just fine. Somebody post 6 weeks that wants an abortion, and you're good. Got him. I'm surprised they hadn't done, and maybe they had and they repeated, but I'd be shocked if they had, somebody getting crushed in a trash compactor before. Like, that feels like that's movie 2 that they would have thought to do that.
Yeah, that feels familiar. I can't remember it.
Yeah,
but that's so common.
Seems so obvious. Yeah. Also, that was when the effects really were bad. Her head was so CGI. And it was like, most of the deaths looked pretty okay. That one was so laughably bad. I was like, because that was the closest I was to like, ooh, this could actually happen. Like, that was, for some reason, childhood fear of mine, was being in a trash compactor. I don't know why I'd ever be in one. I was never in a dumpster, let alone a compactor. But like, that was a fear of mine as a child. So I was like, ooh, this could be creepy. And then I'm like, and her head is a balloon. A CGI balloon. Okay, wonderful.
Listen, this just happens when you get extreme pressures on the head, you know.
Right, your head gets all glossy and fake looking. Yeah, it's fine. Fun, harmless, unmemorable, but entertaining in the moment. Bad CGI. It is what it is. And it will be what it will be.
I don't see...
And it was what it was. Okay, I think we're done. I've been done since the beginning, though.
See, when you walked out and you were like, I think I'm going to skip the wheels, I swear to you, I thought you were going to say, I think I'm going to skip Final Destination.
That's what I would have preferred to sit here watching Instagram than talk about this movie, which, for me, is a big deal. I like talking about movies. This movie there was nothing that, like, I'm not mad I watched the movie. I don't regret watching the movie at all. But, like, I was not inspired to talk about it. This movie that was fun and I'm done with it now. Yeah. And I will never think about this movie again. No. And that's fine. Not every movie is meant to impact you like that. But yeah, I was like, what am I supposed to talk about for half an hour? Nothing. There's nothing to talk about.
I mean, it's literally, I keep saying it, it's just like, the test.
That's because all we can do is keep repeating ourselves. Yeah. It's the same thing, and I know people do this on their YouTube channels, but like, if I had a really good burger, or a tasty burger, I wouldn't then want to talk about it for half an hour. Because there's not, like, how many times you can go, I enjoyed that. Yeah. It didn't change my life. Mm-hmm. It tasted good, though. That's how I feel about this. Was that good for me? No. In fact, it was probably a little bad for me. But, like, I enjoyed it, and I would do that again, but not right now. I'm good. Yeah. It's a cheeseburger.
Like you're saying,
I'm going to start rating movies as food equivalents. That was a cheeseburger. It wasn't, like, dog shit, but it wasn't, some $1,000 bottle of whiskey either. They're like, ooh, all those notes and what was that? No, it was a cheeseburger. It just, slab of meat, Kraft single, bun. That's what it was. Can we be done now?
Yeah, I'm done.
Okay, thank God. Like, review, whatever.
Bye.